everyone, I've compiled a list of survival tips that perhaps may help us in the upcoming game, Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey. What specific dangers or challenges we will face in the game elude us because every time somebody or myself has asked, the developers have been very tight-lipped on the subject. They are doing this because since the game has no set story and wants us to create one, and also including the sheer difficulty curve of it, we are going to need to find out everything about the game on our own. The creating your own story bit is a tactic that can be hit or miss, but it might just work for this game considering the setting of apes, evolution, and survival. Patrice Désilets, the self-proclaimed best player of the Ancestors game in the world at the moment, mentioned in an interview that even his entire group had died and it was only an elder and 2 babies left. This doesn't bode well for our clan members, some of whom we might lose quickly in the game. These are based off techniques and facts of life for ancient peoples and apes. We won't know the way the game is set up until next month, so some of these tips may or may not be able to be done, used, or they may be critical to our survival. So let's get into it. Now, one of the aspects we've seen in the game is the welcoming of new members from outside the clan, and we may be tempted to do this all the time. However, we must take into account that a huge group is not a blessing. We do not know the exact limit of members we can have in the game, but modern chimpanzees can live in groups of anywhere from 20 to just over 100 individuals. That does not mean that 100 apes are moving around all at once, however. They usually travel around in smaller groups that break off from the large one. For instance, a group of males hunting, or a group mixed between female and male foraging. This is what's known as a fission-fusion society, where small groups will merge together, the fusion part, or small groups break off from the large one, the fission part. No doubt we're going to start off small, but how big we can make our group is up for debate. The larger the group, the quicker we will eat out our surroundings, meaning we'd have to move more often, which could place us in more danger. Also, we run the risk of not having enough food for everyone, even if we do find a spot with food in it. So some of our clan members may starve or suffer from malnutrition. Also, large groups help the spread of disease. Keeping your clan balanced will be a key factor so that you don't overuse the environment around you and suffer for it. Let's start this section off by remembering that we will not have a minimap, or any type of map for that matter, that we know of, which means for the player, you are really going to need to memorize your surroundings if you don't want to get lost. Now, we will have an instinct ability that will allow us to interact with our environment more, such as hearing distant calls from our group, but that may only have a limited range, and with us exploring, at times we may become very lost. One way to help this, that many hikers, hunters, campers, etc. still use to this day, is while walking through a place, turn around, look back at the part you just walked through, and remember it. A patch of ground may seem like a totally new place when looking at it from a different angle, so this helps your mind from getting confused, and to know that you are heading back the right way. Also, start memorizing landmarks that will help you get back to your base. Alright, let's see. Left turn at the giant boulder on top of a hill, go straight until you reach the antelope skull, then make a right. And one more thing for observation. Pay attention to sounds, scents, and signs from other wildlife. We will have some control of our senses, and so knowing where animals may or may not be at certain times of the day may help us to stay alive during the game. Be cautious. You never know what may lurk around the bend. Okay, so this one's a bit simple and it may relate to some of the others, but it's crucial. Be prepared to keep moving. A place might seem really safe and nice, but remember, it is only temporary. Once you find a safe spot, start looking where you might head next when the groceries run out. You do not want to realize that you have no more food and have your group start traveling on an empty stomach. So when food is still available, but harder to get to, start to consider moving. Based on the resources that our group needs at the moment for food and tools, our clan may need to cover large distances. So whenever you can, always keep looking around for where you may need to go next. Now this happens to even many novice campers today, as well as I'm sure to many inexperienced group members of our ancestors. You get to a nice spot and start exploring, which is great, but then all of a sudden, it's nighttime, and you haven't actually made camp. So now you're scrambling to try to do everything at night, and danger levels have increased. We have yet to see how fast or even how to set up a camp or nest for our clan. But one thing we do know is that we are not nocturnal creatures. We do need to sleep, usually at night, and we need someplace safe to sleep. away from the many predators on the ground. It is believed that our ancestors, like some chimps, orangutans, and gorillas today, made nests out of leaves to bed down for the night. We have seen the nests a few times in the game so far, but we do need to sleep, as well as eat and stay healthy if we are to survive in the game. So pay attention to what time of day it is, and be sure to get back to safety soon by the time nightfall comes around. There are two main rules in biology upon which everything else that every living thing does can be traced back to. Rule number 1, survive, and rule number 2, reproduce. Number 1 is often precedent, but when survival is secure, it is time to move on to number 2. Oh yeah. Given just how dangerous the environment will be to us, meaning predators, accidents, starvation, etc., all of us may experience very high mortality rates within our clan. While we may meet stranger apes from time to time to introduce to our clan, having babies is going to be the most important action we take in the game, because that passes on the genes. We know very little how baby mechanics will work in the game, but diversifying our genes will help with adaptation and evolution. Who knows, those stranger apes may even be needed in order to diversify the babies even more. We don't know if we can control who mates with who, or what or how many traits will be passed on, but if natural selection has anything to do with it, the dumber or less adaptive members of our group will probably die first, leaving those with the best survival qualities to mate. So, have babies, diversify those genes, and do your best to protect them, since they are the only way for you to actually progress in the game. So while we may have babies in the group, it is not only mom and dad's responsibility. The baby is the group's baby, so that means almost everyone is a babysitter. So while others are out foraging and exploring, someone needs to take care of the child. We may need to take the babies with us to teach them some skills. So while you may have to leave the group to do this, I suggest don't stray too far, so that the baby can get back to safety should anything happen. This goes without saying, but I know some people will have a favorite ape and will use them to do everything. So I will say, don't do that. The name of the game is teamwork. Well, actually it's answers to the Humankind Odyssey, but you get my point. You might have Super Ape learn everything, but if he gets eaten by a big cat, then the whole group is going to suffer. So instead of having one incredibly skilled individual, it may be better to have a large group that knows a little bit about a lot of things. It's going to be important to switch things up, and remember, we are in charge of a group, and different members need to develop different skills for the group's benefit. Panache has not stated how in-depth the teamwork aspect will be, but apes often coordinate with each other for protection, to hunt, and to figure out other challenges. For example, we might choose one ape to be a lookout while everyone else eats. And here's one last tip for this section that I would do, but I guess you don't have to. With a new stranger to the clan, you might want to make him or her do something dangerous for the group. So if you're going to explore that scary looking cave, it might be better to send the new guy while keeping the experienced or better adapted clan members alive. It's brutal, but hey, think of it as an initiation. And those are my 7 tips for how to survive in Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey. The game will release in the Epic Games Store next month on August 27th, and sometime in December for consoles. As always, if you liked the video, please click that like button and subscribe for more content like this. And be sure to check out my other Ancestors videos as well as other historical content on the channel. Catch up with me on Twitter and Discord, and consider supporting the channel on Patreon. Once again, I would like to give a very special thank you to all my subscribers, and thank you for those who are watching and new to the channel. I'm Eric, the LonePineWolfman, and remember gamers, never stop learning.